All right, so welcome to week two. Now, this is a really powerful subject this week. We're going to be talking about personal values and getting your priorities in line, okay? Because too often, what I find when I speak to lots and lots of people is that we get really carried away with life and all the things that need to get done, and they're not really always important things, right? Like sometimes they're just a distraction that will keep us from doing or creating the things that actually basically gives us inner happiness and allows us to feel really aligned with what it is that we actually here on the earth to do. Yeah. So let's dive into this. Now, you might see me clicking around the screen and having a look around it because I've actually written some beautiful notes for you guys today. There's a couple of key things I didn't want to forget to tell you. So that is why. So let's dive in. Now, if you are familiar with values, maybe you've done some personal values work before, that's amazing. I have done this task so many times in my life, but more recently, probably about maybe 3 times already this year. And the reason for that is because I like to check in with myself probably every quarter to see, where I'm at and if I'm really like living my life within alignment and abundance and what feels good for me. But most importantly, what I value the most. And sometimes when I find a situation or something that I'm doing, it might feel a bit yuck, or maybe it was something that used to really align with me, but now it doesn't. That's generally the reason why, because it'll be pulling on some heartstrings of a personal value of yours that maybe just isn't feeling great for you anymore. Now, it's totally okay for you to, let go of things and to be able to change up what it is that you're doing in your life. It doesn't mean that your values necessarily change. It might just mean that you've simply had a growth period and you are, you've leveled up. You want to do something new, and that's totally fine. It might be that you see a value like in a different way now, or you want to fulfill that value in a different way. Yeah. And so, a really good example of that would be like, let's say you're a raise at work, making the decision around whether you put the extra money away for your retirement or whether you're going to make your life comfortable right now. Or maybe you wanted to get a head start on something to do with work or a task or something that's been like nagging you on your to-do list for a while, and then maybe a child has had a bit of a tough day and they're in real need of their mama, and it's that question of, gosh, do I prioritize the work thing that's time sensitive, or the to-do thing, or family? Yeah. And life will always, every day, present you with an endless series of decisions to make. Some of them will be large, some of them will be small, and it requires you to make choices. Sometimes the choices are easy, sometimes the choices are a little bit challenging. And ultimately, what it comes down to, the most critical decision that it is that you need to make is, does this decision align with my core values? And once you know what your core values are, it can be so much easier to make those decisions. You will find that you will sit less in the space of, I don't know what to do. I don't want to let this person down, but it really goes against how it is that I feel about this and what I really want to be doing right now. And then you sit in this like limbo land, push, pull, and all these questions that you're asking yourself. Whereas sometimes if we were just very clear on our core values, boom, we can just make that decision straight away because we know what is most important to us, what's going to serve us, in that time, in that moment, and what can wait. Yeah. Sometimes you might not even get back to the thing, and it's totally fine because it doesn't really matter. So Okay, so how do you know what your core values are? Now, sometimes when I do this task with people, much like you guys, where I gave you the week 1 homework about writing a list, sorry, not week 1, week 2 homework of writing a list of all the most important things in your life. It can be like, I don't really know what to put on this list. Family, food, sleeping, like, some pretty obvious things that would go on a list that are important to most people, right? But when you dive into this question a little bit further, and this is the reason why I get you to like brain dump on the list, like everything that just comes to your mind that's important to you in the moment, and then just shut the book, put it away, it might be even for a day, and then open it up again, have a little think about it again, and do another brain dump, close it, come back to it again another day, do another brain dump. Because what we're doing here is ultimately opening your mind to more and more and more things. And when we come at it from a conscious level in the forefront of our mind, we're only ever really present just in that moment. Yeah. But when you can empty your mind onto the page and then come back at it again with a fresh look, it unlocks another layer of your unconscious mind. Yes, actually, I really also value things like honesty and kindness and compassion and empathy. Yeah, okay, I want to put those things down. Close the book again. And then we unlock another part of your mind. And it might be, actually, I also really value having a tidy house or having a really nice car to drive, or I don't know, like whatever it is. Some people really value materialistic things and others don't. Doesn't matter. So I'm going to pull out my journal here and just show you the very last time that I did this task. It was interesting. Here we go. I found the page and it was in here. Because I actually started with maybe 10 things that I sort of just rolled off, off the top of my head. And then once I came back to it like 2, 3, 4 times, I managed to get, here we go. I managed to get a list like, nearly 2 pages long. Some of the things on here are like feelings and emotions and characteristics within myself and with other people. Other things are like material things. Some things are like experiences or hobbies or things that I love to do that are really important to me. And then other things are, like non-tangible things. For example, like one of the things that is towards the end of my list here is making a difference in people's lives. Yeah. Which is interesting because when I actually broke them down, and I'll run through this with you guys, but when I broke them down into my top 10 things, so I got top 10 after doing 2 pages worth of stuff, making a difference actually came in my top 5 values. But if I had just put the book down and left it after day 1, I never would have come up with that, even though that's something that like fuels my fire at a heart level. So that's why it's sort of important to give yourself a little bit of time and space with this. It's best to do it when you have some silence around you. Maybe you're on your own and it's quiet. It's quiet, but you've got an opportunity to really open your mind space to it. It can be very challenging to come up with stuff like this, especially at an unconscious mind level when you're distracted by things. So I encourage you to take, even if it's 5 minutes, just to pull out a diary, start writing this list, and allow yourself a good little while to like unlock different layers of your mind. Okay. So if you haven't done this yet, then I am encouraging you to start it. Start it right now. You can pause this video and start it right now, because the rest of the video won't make sense to you and the task won't make sense to you if you have not done this part, okay? Now, this is going to be a crucial part of your mastermind program, because without knowing your core values, a lot of the rest of the program might feel a little bit out of alignment with you, because you used to be able to do it, but it might feel a little bit out of alignment because it can be very challenging to make quick decisions and start working on one of our topics around like boundaries and seeing where you're out of alignment right now, how to create more time in your life for the things that you do love if you don't know what they are. Yeah? So if you haven't done this yet, pause the video, come back. If you have done it, let's dive in. So, now, if you're a little bit stuck, I want to go through a few ways here that you can kind of unlock these layers in your mind and come up with the finished list, right? And by finished, I mean literally nothing else in your mind that you can think of, okay? So let's look at what a value actually is. Now, this is where I'm going to read a little bit of what I wrote down for you guys. So values are basically the principle that gives your life meaning, and it allows you to live your life in a way that feels fulfilling to you, okay? And a lot of the time when we grow up, we, like from child to adulthood, we often learn a lot of our values from our parents, because, or the people that looked after you almost when you were little, because that is who you're influenced by. That's where you learn, that's where you grow, that's where you're conditioned a lot of the time. They can also be other people like your teachers, maybe religious leaders, social or society around you, from when you're growing up. And if you're like me and most other people in the world, there's probably been some times where you might have rebelled against your values or changed your mind on certain things about yourself or the world around you. And that's totally fine, because when we're in that testing period, that's where you're actually testing yourself on who you are as a person and how you want to live your life, what feels good for you and what doesn't. And when it doesn't, you definitely know, yeah? So, so at the end of this task, we are going to come up with about 10 values, but it doesn't matter what's on your list right now, how long your list is. I mean, preferably more than 10. Like a couple of pages would be good. Because I'm sure you have a couple of pages of stuff that is really important to you. But you can, pop things down on there like, just off the top of my head, like financial, goals or security or anything like that. It can be characteristics like compassion and love and kindness and connection and relationships, freedom, flexibility, loyalty, honesty, all those sorts of really beautiful things. A lot of people, value a lot of those types of characteristics in themselves, but also in other people as well. Okay. Right. Next tip would be, you could think of a few people that you really admire or love in your life and consider like why they are actually important to you. And values can be like personified in people, especially that you admire or love, right? And so if you were maybe to think about or write down a list of like 3 to 6 people that are, they play important roles in your life. It could be loved ones, it could be a role model, it could be a colleague or a manager or someone in your life that you really value, I guess, and they're important to you. And think about what is it about them that they embody that you love so much about them. Like, for example, it could be, your grandfather for the way that he accepts and loves. Or it could be your husband for his work ethic. Or it could be a colleague of yours for her honesty or her compassion. Or, a friend of yours for her loyalty, or, like something like that. So that can be a really lovely way and in quite an easy way to come up with some values that are important to you as well, because generally what's important to you, you actually see them in other people. Everything in life is a reflection of you. Yeah? So what you notice about other people is actually what you're seeing in yourself. Okay, tip number 3, another way that you can do it is you can actually jump on Google. So use a bit of like an online values inventory, I guess. There's heaps of web pages online that help give you some prompts or ideas around what type of values there are out there. And when you read through certain lists, I guess it serves as like a blueprint, really, and you can just sort of pick off things that you really align with or relate to when you read them. Like, yes, okay, that's definitely me. You know straight away when you read them. So jumping into Google is a really great way to do that yourself. Tip number 4 is like observing yourself and actually learning about the way that you live your life, or being mindful about the choices that you make. Yeah. So, for example, for several days, you could make a really conscious effort to put a label on some of the key decisions that you make. For example, every morning you might get up and make a really healthy lunch for yourself. And so one of your values might be that you really value health, or the way that eating healthy makes you feel, or what it does for your body, right? So the overall value would be health. Something like that. So what are some of the patterns that you do in every single day? What are some of the routines that you adhere to? Because the reason why we generally do things the same each day is because they're important to us. You don't generally do things that aren't important to you for a long period of time, right? So yes, observing yourself. What else did I write down here? Oh yeah. So thinking about things that are like both bitter and sweet in your life at the same time. So let's say for example, you might think back to a time where you had some really sweet, amazing, joyous moments in your life. And then also some of the most painful moments in your life as well. And both of these moments may direct you towards what it is that you actually care about most. Like, for example, I write here, so for example, if you have ever won an award or some sort of like medal or whatever, maybe considering what was the award actually for? Like, was it about leadership? Was it about something that you've improved in? Did you win something or achieve something? And how did winning that award make you feel? If it was like an achievement award, like for me personally, achievement is in my top 5 values. And so winning an award for me, where I am acknowledged for an achievement that I've made, would be like a hell yes moment, because I really value achieving things. Or I guess success, I do value success, but the actual achievement of something, like it's been a goal, it's been a bucket list, it's been something on a to-do list, and I've put a big tick in it. And for me, that's like, yes, like I'm winning, I'm high, yeah. So to have that even validated and recognized through an award or something like that, that would be a massive win. So yeah, focusing on memories or things that have happened in your life that are both sweet and painful can help you decide or understand what it is that you value about that situation. Yeah. And lastly, I lost the page that I need to down. My screen went blank. Yes. But lastly, basically, it comes from fear, right? Like you feel these things when you're with your pen and you're with your paper, like you value these things and you feel these things and you understand things at a deep level of yourself that nobody else can ever really understand, right? And you will know when something happens in your life or you do something or you behave a certain way, like you'll know that that feels really good for you, or you'll know that that is not something that you want to be a part of or dive into or anything again, right? So there are just a few ways that you can identify what your top values are. So once you've got a big list, and you feel like you've unlocked a few layers of your brain, like literally nothing else that you can dump on the paper there, then what I want you to do is get like a highlighter or a different color pen or something like that. And I just want you to like highlight or put a star next to the 10 things on that list that are like the most important to you. Of like obviously everything on the list is important, but the top 10 things. If you get more than 10, that's totally okay, but we want to get it down to 10 if we can, okay? So once you've got your 10 or more than 10, if it's more than 10, edit that down again, right? And then once you've got that list there, that is going to be basically your top 10 values. But we're not finished there. Now we need to actually order them. Okay, so I'm going to read out for you for an example, and this is something that I would even love to do with somebody one-on-one to have you experience this yourself. But I'm going to read out for you like what my top 10 values are and what it is that you can ask yourself in order to come up with the specific order that you value your values in, right? So, for example, I wrote down happiness, health, which includes body, mind, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, everything to do with being healthy. Yeah. My work, relationship. What else did I write down here? Being validated and heard, achievement, honesty, money, making a difference to people, and kindness. Now, that was quite challenging for me to come up with because I have like a super long list here and all of them. So that was my list, but that's not actually the order that comes in. So once you've got that list, you would then say to yourself, okay, all right, so happiness and health. Cool. So is happiness more important to me than health, or is health more important to me than happiness? And I don't want you to sit there and think about all the things. It's like it should take you less than a second to know the answer to that. Like, well, what do you feel here? Yeah, is happiness more important to me than health, or is health more important to me than happiness? Well, happiness is okay. Happiness is number one, right? So then we go down the list again. My work. Okay, so is health more important to me than my work, or is my work more important to me than health? Well, straight away, I know it's my health. Okay, cool. Next one was relationships. Is my work more important to me than relationship, or is relationships more important to me than work? I would say my relationship is more important to me. Okay, cool. So can you see how now we're starting to place an order? So what might have been at the top of your list might actually end up way down in like number 9 and number 10. Doesn't mean that you don't value it. It's not important to you. This means we're now rating them in an order of importance. So when you need to make a decision, for example, this is a live example of someone I literally did this with, who works with me super recently. She's been in a job for like 16 years, hated it. It was affecting her like physically, it was giving her injury, mentally, emotionally. all the things, like it just didn't fit with her life. But she was experiencing some challenges around her mindset on how valuable she was without that job, like her self-belief that she would be able to get another job, her relationship with money, lots of stuff about that came up, and being able to trust that, also her relationship with trust, being able to trust that she would be able to attract a new job into her life and be able to make the amount of money that she desired from bringing in a new job, and trusting that by letting this job go without having security of another job to go to, that she will be fine and she will attract what she needs in the time that's right for her, right? So there was a lot of self-limiting stuff that we sort of had to measure out and to do this. But when we did that and we went through her values, what was really interesting is the topic of a new job came up, and she wasn't really sure about what job it was that she would do, because she's worked in the same job for like 16 years. She knew what she was passionate about or good at. She came at it from an angle of all the things that she hated, right? She wasn't coming from a place of all the things that she would actually like to attract in her life about a new job. So we went through her values, and if we take mine, for example, pretending hers, I would say to her, okay, well, once we came through the top 10 list and we worked out that number 1, happiness, and then number 2, health, and then number 3, it was her relationship, and then number 4, it was her ability to be able to achieve, and number 5, it was being able to help people. Again, using my example. I said to her, so she came to me with an opportunity that she had manifested into her life. She wasn't sure whether to take the job or not, because it was something she'd never done before. She perceived that she wasn't qualified for it, and basically wasn't good enough for it, but didn't know whether to take the job or not, right? And so I said to her, well, would this job bring you happiness? Yeah. Is this job suitable for your health? Like, does it compromise your health? And by health for her, it meant like, does she still get to attend like the fitness classes and exercise and stuff that she loves to do in the hours that she loves to do this in? Or is the actual job itself going to create more of an injury for her? So we had to define those things. We decided, yes, the job was going to benefit her health, right? She was still able to do all the things that she loved outside of work, and it wasn't going to physically damage her body anymore. Cool. All right. Does it give you a sense of achievement? Is it helping other people? And they were like ticks in all the boxes. Great. So that's probably an awesome job for you to take. Yeah. And so you can see how when you're defining what your core values are, and you know what order they're in, and you can just be like, tick, 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 this one doesn't sit right with me. Now, when there's something that doesn't sit quite right with you, you then have an opportunity to ask yourself, like, am I okay with this section here not sitting right with me? If the answer is no, then it's a flat out no, right? It just means it's not for you. If it's a yes, I'm willing to be flexible and negotiate this particular thing here, maybe there's some ways that you could change the situation so it kind of aligns a little bit better. And cool, I'm willing to be flexible on that. So it's okay for you to be flexible on things like, your core values or boundaries or things like that. But if it deeply doesn't align with you, it's a hell no. And it's really as simple as that. Yeah. You can absolutely accept things the way that they are without needing approval that you approve of them, right? So yeah, there's a little way, a wrap up of how to find out what your core values are, how to put them in a bit of an order, and work out whether you are actually living in alignment of the things that you value most in your life. If you are a little bit stuck or confused or unsure about anything to do with this task, please reach out to me, because it's something I love, working with people together in a group or one-on-one. And it's really awesome when you just see people's faces light up, because that penny drop, like they get it. And they finally have a list of things that just define what it is that they live for. And when you can see that, yes, like they are living their life in alignment with that, or hell no, they're not. And boom, that light bulb moment where they get to decide, right, well, what am I willing to do about this? That's the key. That's the key. So reach out if you do feel a little bit stuck with this task, or you're not sure and you want some help. I would love to get that penny drop light bulb moment happening for you, so that you can move into the next mission coming up for you next week, which is all about getting clarity on where you're at right now, and whether you are or aren't living in alignment with your life. Where are you spending your time right now? And is that working for you, or do you need to find some ways to create more time in your life for the things that you do want to do, and let go of some other things? So that's going to be our class next week. Hope you guys love this. Reach out if you need some help, and I look forward to seeing what your top 10 values are.